Welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Business Leaders Masterclass to unlock clarity and calm so you can rediscover peace of mind and fulfillment. Doesn't that sound like an exciting thing to have? And this is what I call living life by your design and no longer leaving it to default. So way here. And the first thing I'd love to ask you, goes a couple of questions. And you can either raise your hand if you've got your camera on, or you can give me a emoji. And if you're not sure where that is on the bottom of your screens, you'll see the reactions. You can do that. So here's my first question for you. How many of you are finding that you're struggling to get to achieve all your deadlines? Really, it's just, especially at this time of year, is that resonating with anybody? What about your mind? Are you managing to get sleep? Or is your mind just not switching off at night and it's bugging you and keeping you awake? Here we go, David, a seal. We got you there. Right, I know Clive's nodding his head. Natalie. All right. Renette's still not too sure about this. How many of you feel that you're running out of energy at this time of year and are feeling rather overwhelmed? And yes, you can put both hands up as well. There we go. Thank you. Right. There we Michael says, yep, both hands, and he's raised his feet too. This is what happens at this time of year, and it's amplified. Now, who here would like to leave these feelings behind in 2024 and kickstart 25 off with newfound focus, clarity, and energy? Who appeals to that? Yeah, right. That's why you're here. Hello, Libby. Wonderful to see you, and Zarlene's in the house as well again. Brilliant. It's coming back for more. I love it. This is how I know I'm speaking to the right audience here. So if you don't know me, my name's Tim Wagner. I'm a previously burnt out business executive, now turned international speaker and breathwork alchemist. And what this means is that I use the power of breathwork as an activating tool to create the change in states inside of you. And I'm here today to equip you with some tools so that you can become more consistent and in control and calmer no matter what 2025 throws at you. Doesn't that sound like a good plan? Now, before I go into any details, you'll see that I don't use PowerPoint. I use something different to share my screen. Now, to see me in full screen, so you're not seeing everybody, on the top of your computer there, click on View, and then go to Speaker instead of Gallery. Then I'll come up full screen, and you can then see. It allows you to see me in my pictures and slides, and me to see all of you this way. So that's just one way that you can do it. Click on Speaker, and then you'll be able to capture me. And if you're fed up with me, you can keep me small. I'll leave it up to you. Now, I really want to get the most out of our time. You've committed an hour of your time with me today, and I love that. Thanks for cameras on. Use the emojis. As we're talking, you got something that you wanted that resonates with you or something similar, put in the chats, give us a thumbs up. And if you believe that, well, Tim, that really sucked, give me a thumbs down. I've got broad shoulders. I can handle it. It's this interaction which I know that I'm talking on the right terms to you. And it's great to get this valuable information. I'm going to be sharing quite a lot with you tonight. But it's important to apply it. That's when it makes the difference. So to help with this, I really suggest that we stay connected. So let's play full out. Commit for yourself. You've come here for a specific reason. There was something that called you. And when you find that something is appealing to you, scan this QR code, and I'm going to put the link in the chats as well. So you can click on the chats. There we go. Scan that, click on there, you'll go straight to my calendar and book a call with me. Now, if you do this tonight, then you're going to get an additional bonus worth 3,600 Rand, around $200. Giving you specific strategy and needs. And it's only for those who are here live. And yep, this is only live. I don't share this out recorded. This is only available live. But you're going to get an extra 3,600 Rand just for being here live and playing with me full out. How does that sound? But you need to book that call during the session or within 1 hour afterwards. But here's a note. I'm running these masterclasses, 4 of them now, and another 2 in January. And I can only take 15 calls a week. So don't delay in that. There's not space for everybody. And if you're feeling brave and you've booked a time with me, comes on my phone, but put in the chats, booked. Maybe you can then really excite somebody else to do that as well. Okay? Now, let's climb straight in with a stress test. Do I have permission to play with your emotions a little bit? Is that all right? Got permissions to play with it, all right? Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, Clive smiling.
Because you don't make us cry.
All righty. Just keep... So, I couldn't quite hear that. Hang on to... Put in the chat box, but let's hold the questions if you don't mind. Now, if you are on high blood pressure pills, just by the way, this may be a time that you actually want to pop one of those. Now, why? Well, this is the question. When you think back on this past year that's been, what are your stress levels at? What number have you got on 1 to 10? Put in the chats for me. 1 being I'm chilled as a surfer on Musingburg Beach sitting in the waves on my surfboard. 10, holy crap, there's a shark circling me. What number are you at? 6, says a seal. Thank you. Let's see, can anybody beat a 6? What number? 10, 10, 6, 6. 6 is good. Amazing. All right, 6s, we got lots of 6s. 8s, there we go. All right. So ranging from 10s down to 6. We're getting an average here of sort of 7, 7.5. Now this is pretty much normal. In our state of our environments that we're working in, with the technology we deal with family, with the business demands, with the economy, and all these things that we actually get dealt with on an ongoing basis, finding between 7 to 10 is quite an average around the world. It doesn't matter what country I'm speaking to. It doesn't matter what company I'm speaking to. It only changes when I'm talking to executives sitting in C-suite. Then they say, Tim, 10's not enough. Last week I had a 100. And I thought, okay, wow, we got a serious challenge over here. So knowing that this is pretty average, but the question is, well, what do we do about it? Because being anywhere around anything from 5 and above needs to be a warning sign. It needs to be an alert. And I'm going to talk about this just now, what that means. Because in the end, your feelings of stress, anxiety, overwhelm are merely signs. Now, you're here because I guess that you would like to turn this around, to have more peace of mind, more energy, better results in your life. Would that be right? Anybody up for that? That's why you're here. Yes, there's Natalie, Renette. Yes, Clive. That's what it's about. So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you. I've turned my mess into my message, and I now deliver this through my signature 7-step professional pointer program, where I help you and I help teams that are operating in high-stressed, high-functioning environments for long periods of time to be able to operate at these high levels consistently without the negative impact of stress. This is what it's about now, designing the life you want to live and no longer leaving it up to default, where then you're feeling stressed and unfulfilled. So I'm going to be sharing with you excerpts from my program, which is a life mastery journey for ambitious leaders. And I'm going to run through this very briefly with you. This is what it looks like. It starts with the breath. Everything begins with a breath. We're going to do this just now, your breath of life. Then we break down who you are now. Then we establish who you will become, aligning goals and visions to this person of who you'll become. How do you work this in your mindset? Transforming your mindset, your habits. Habits come in as strong ones. Some you need to lose, some you need to bring in. And then your authentic self. How do you put this into play for the long term? Now, this is a full 6-month program that I run. I'm going to chat to you about it right at the end. But tonight, we're going to be jumping in and talking about 3 specific areas from the program, just so that I can give you great value. We're going to be going through your stress, what you can do about it, what you can do about it immediately. We're going to talk about who's standing in your way and why. And some of you may be surprised at who's standing in your way of success and fulfillment. And then also, how do you design this authentic life that Tim keeps talking about? So there's a lot of information that I'm going to be covering with you here. Even if you take one thing away with you, so I'm just going to mute quickly. Even if you take one thing away with you, just take that one and apply it in your life. So something that resonates with you, and that's why I ask you to give a thumbs up. Something really resonates, give a thumbs up. Then we'll know, and I'll know that I'm on the right path. Okay, so You've noticed that breath work and breathing starts at the very beginning of the journey, and it starts at the beginning of our life, so it should be. So what I'd love to do is give a demonstration for you on the power of your breath. Is everybody for that? Would you like to find out what it actually means, thanks Renette and Natalie, to activate your mind, your body, your spirit, your creativity using the power of your breath? This means participation. So, we need one of these, old school pen. To really benefit and understand this, you're going to need to write. Pen and paper. Typing doesn't work. This is a writing exercise and a breathing exercise. So the first part, there's 3 parts to this. The first part is, I'm going to be giving you 30 seconds to write. We're then going to breathe, and then you're going to write again. And I'm going to ask you some questions about what you discovered. This is your journey, and it's going to be meaningful to you. So, you've got 30 seconds. I want you to write. What is the greatest goal that you are going to achieve in 2025? Your biggest goal. You've got 30 seconds. Whatever comes out, write. Begin. And if you can't think of anything, write, I can't think of anything. Your biggest goal to achieve in 2025. And if you've written 4 lines, you can stop. And pens down. All right, we're going to come back to that. You're going to see the value of it in a moment. What we're going to do now is a breath activation exercise. Now, this is a phenomenal exercise that you can use anytime you're feeling lethargic or you need to be creative. You're putting together a project or a program, but you just can't seem to get out of your head. Nothing seems to work. This is an activation exercise. Now, what that means is you're going to be taking a long, deep breath in through your nose and short, sharp breath out your mouth, but squeezing your belly. So it's going to be filling your lungs. You're going to lift up your arms. So it's going to look like this. All right. So you're really breathing in through your nose and then short, sharp out of your mouth. Okay. If you feel dizzy, that's perfectly normal. You're sitting in a chair. The only time you don't do this is when you're driving. So for those who don't have your camera on, if you're driving, please don't do this. If you feel a little bit lightheaded, that's perfectly normal. Now we're going to do 10 breaths, and we're going to take a break, and 10 more. Follow me if you can, otherwise go at your own pace. But it's essential, you long, deep breath in your nose, and a hard out, really expelling all the air and really crunching your belly. Okay, we ready? Okay, I'm going to count you in from 3 to 1. You let out all your air, and then we take our first deep breath in. Let's do this. You can do it. Play full out. You're going to be astounded by what happens afterwards. And 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. On your breath in, really opening up and inflating, and the out squeezing and getting it all out. That's great. Good. Mike's playing full out here. Michael, good for you. And 2 more. Let's go. Play. And 1 more. Now sit peacefully. Breathe normal. Feel the energy rushing around your body. If you're lightheaded, that's normal. Just feel that energy and awakening. Now, we're going to do it again. 10 more. And 3, 2, 1. Let your breath out. And in we go. Breathe in. Let's go. In through your nose, out your mouth. In through your nose, and out your mouth. Really work and activate. That's it, David. Good for you. Natalie, squeeze your belly. Really get that air out. And 2 more. 1 more big one. Amazing. Well done, well done. Right, grab that pen. Grab your pen, and again, I want you to write the same question, whatever comes to mind, for 30 seconds. The greatest goal that you have achieved in 2025. And write. Whatever comes to mind. 10 seconds. And pens down. Amazing. Fantastic. Now, this is a brilliant exercise to purify and rejuvenate it. Clear stale air in your lungs. It activates your diaphragm and gets your mind racing so you can become more creative. It's a great jumpstart breath work to do. So take this away and please use it. Now, some questions for you. Who here noticed a marked difference in what they wrote in the creativity or the ideas? Give me a thumbs up or put in the chat box there. Right? The second time, was it more creative? Did you come up with something unique? Renette, yes. Right? Okay, who else? Libby's given a thumbs up. Did anybody notice their handwriting changed? Did your handwriting improve on the second time? Give me a thumbs up if it improved. Renette, thank you. Okay, anybody else? No. Did you write something in the second time that you've never actually thought of before or didn't come up as a goal or something that you thought of to achieve in 25? Clive, Renette again. Wow, impactful one, powerful. This is the amazing state of what happens when we get oxygenated and hyper awake. So the opposite can happen when you're not breathing properly. And you're stressed, you're anxious, you're actually breathing very shallow in your chest, which takes oxygen away from your brain. You can't function and think clearly. That's where sometimes you can be trying to focus on something with so much intensity, but you're stressing over it. I just can't do this. I'm not creative. It happens with me if I'm trying to write a program or a speech. I need to do activation. And then the most amazing things can happen. So there you've experienced not only a more awakened state. Tell me that you're more awake and centered on what I'm talking about here and ready. Again, lovely. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's also why I do this. Now I've got your attention. Forget about everything else that's going on around. Let's climb into some more of what this is about. I didn't used to know all of this. In fact, you'll never guess how I first discovered breath work, and specifically around stress release, because it came to me in the most surprising of ways. After I'd quit my 27-year career in hospitality due to stress and on the verge of burnout. I very clearly remember those days of waking in the morning with my brain in a fog, just wishing for another hour's sleep as I'd feel my stress levels rising for the day. Does anybody resonate with that? Anybody sitting here with that exact issue? Clive, yeah, thanks, Natalie, exactly. There was a time when my brain couldn't imagine anything else apart from how the heck do I get through another day? But you need to know it doesn't have to be like this. So I'm going to quickly share a story. Do you mind if I share a testimonial of a client of mine recently? Is that okay? I'm going to share a couple of real live stories of what can happen. So when this client of mine came to me, he was on the verge of burnout. His whole language, his body language. I only met him over Zoom. He's in Canada. And he was not able to focus. He had lost the relationship. He had lost business. And he really found not much hope and clarity in his new journey of life. Now, his name's George. You can read what he had to say there. When I first met him, depression, stressed, struggling, anxiety, couldn't sleep. He was drinking too much. There was just not a lot of hope, and he couldn't see his way out of it. So George started with the breathwork journeys. I'll talk about that just now with you. And then he climbed in with me on a lot of the elements within the Breathe program that I've shared with you as well. At the beginning, I asked George a question. And I said to him, George, how much has your stress cost you in the last year? Now, this is a question I ask of all my clients, and I'm going to ask this one of you as well. Write this one down. This is an exercise I'd encourage you to take outside of our time here today. If you're serious about your health and your wealth, you actually want to know this answer. It may scare you. It may scare the daylights out of you to work it out. What's your stress costing you? In time, in relationships, loss of income, lack of business growth, not able to hit deadlines, You didn't get a promotion because you weren't performing at work. What has been that cost? Now, my next question to you is, in your budget for 2025, under the expense column, have you got an expense stress? And if not, why not? If you know it's costing you, put it in your budget. Or would you rather address this and turn that cost into something that serves you, to improve your life, create better balance, job satisfaction, increased income? What is it worth to you that you start now, this month, this week, this day, resolving these issues that you've been carrying for years once and for all, so that you can thrive in 25 and no longer just survive? Now, when I ask, and as I said, I ask all my clients, when I ask George of this, he's the only client who's ever actually come back. Maybe he was the only one brave enough, I don't know. Everybody's got an idea, it's a lot. He came back to me and he said, Tim, over $100,000 in 1 year in loss of business. But he said that wasn't the biggest issue for me. That wasn't the biggest cost. The biggest cost was his divorce. His wife had had enough. He was just not functioning as a human being. Thankfully, no kids, fortunately. But it was devastating to him. That added more pain, more anguish, and took him closer and closer to burnout. Back in 2018, when I was leaving the corporate world, or I walked out, I should say, the stress that life was having on me and business and challenges, the cost was astronomical. My health was in the toilet. My relationships with my son was damaged. He was a teenager then. I needed to be there as a dad. I couldn't be. And when I wasn't present. I was angry. I was frustrated. You couldn't talk to me. I was just not a nice guy. The fact that I'm still married is quite remarkable. What I did to deserve my wife to hang around to deal with me, I wouldn't put up with me. I couldn't run the business. I couldn't focus effectively. It was a massive business in Cape Town. But it was struggling because I wasn't able to apply my mind. Just the years of constant pressure and stress had finally caught up with me, and I had no energy left. It felt like I was being stretched like this elastic band. On one end, it was this authentic person I wanted to live. This Tim, this true person. But I was so lost from that, I was living this stressed existence. And all that I could think to do was work harder, work more hours, put more effort in, fight more, argue more, make it work, keep going. But I knew this wasn't serving me. There was only one answer I had. I let go. It was a chilly autumn night in 2018. I pick up my bag. I walk out my office. I walk out the building. I quit. I was done. I was finished. Never to go back. It was the most difficult decision of my career, and yet at the same time the easiest one to make. I took this photograph the night that I walked out. I was too stressed, too angry, and too tired to drive. I had to sit by the side of the road in Blauberg. I sat there for hours. See, back then I didn't know I had a choice. I didn't have a coach. I had a lot of people around me, but I couldn't share what was going on with them. I felt very lonely. I didn't know who I could trust with this. Does anybody resonate with that? Perhaps you know somebody, right? That was me. Here's the good news. You don't need to be nearly as dramatic as I was. And I do not encourage you to quit on your job or shut your business down for stress. That's why I'm here, to tell you there is another way. And in fact, what I did from that, my stress changed. And if anybody's ever left a high-paying salaried income to no salaried income, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. But just like George, I was lost. I had no idea who I was. I didn't know my purpose in life. I didn't know purpose outside of work. Work was the only thing that I could think about and do. If I was in conversation, on the rare occasion with friends, and it wasn't about business, I had no connection with them. I couldn't relate to people. But this became the first time I asked myself the questions. Who am I? And why am I doing this in the first place? And I've come to learn that when you're operating outside of who you are, your intrinsic nature, outside of your values, outside of your purpose for existence, it doesn't matter what job you have or what business you run. You will be stressed, you will struggle, and at some point you will likely also sink. You see, you're the only person standing in the way of your success. This is an inside-out job. And what I mean by that is you need to get to know who you are in order to succeed. Not the societal programmed person that you've been taught by preachers, teachers, parents, by society. Who you are intrinsically inside. And here's the thing that I've learned over the years. Very few people know who they are. I've come to call this authenticity burnout syndrome, or ABS for short. When you're not authentic to yourself, this is an emotional and physical exhaustion, and it comes from living out of synchronicity with your true self. For leaders, it's shown as a disconnection from who you are to who you're projecting as this version that you believe society and your business or your team needs you to be. You put on a mask and you project this type of person. You believe that's who it is, but it's not authentic. And for teams, in a team environment, it manifests as disengagement, as stress in the team, and misalignment with the company values. So when the team has not got values intrinsic to the same as the company, the workplace culture struggles. And it's infectious. If you have a few people who are not in alignment, they can infect other people. You may see this in teams if you're working in a corporate environment now. So in my journey, it took me losing multiple businesses over 4 years, made a lot of money, lost more t-shirts than I could afford to buy. And it was only during this that I started to understand what authenticity burnout syndrome was. But how does this occur, and why only after years or even decades of a career? I've been in hospitality for 27 years. The industry hadn't changed. That was still stressful. So why now? So I'd like you to think back for a moment on your own career path. Your first, maybe not your first job, but the first job that you took or business you opened, which was your career, that you were going to focus on for many, many years. Why did you start? I want you to think back on that. What was your reason that you began? Have a look now. What is your reason for being in business now? Or perhaps you've got a job now. Has that reason changed? Over the years, my reason changed. When I was 19 and I first went into hospitality, I went into it because I figured, what a great way to travel the world. What's a universal language? Waitering skills, barman, travel, yay! Any travel bugs out there? Who else has a travel bug? Yeah. So I went into the industry for travel. At 25, it became about building a career. I got married, family, bills, all these things. Yes, it changed. Thanks, David. So at 25, it changed to build a career, and I did it extremely well for 15 years. I climbed that corporate ladder and I fought my way to the top. And at the age of 40, it wasn't the career. I didn't want that title. I wanted the money. I had my own business and also I had a job. And my driving factor for me getting out of bed was financial. I was extremely heavily incentivized in the business I was running. And I was working in the financial business as well on the side, building networks internationally. But somewhere I got lost. You see, the industry hadn't changed I was working in. It's still the same problems. It's still customers. It's still staff. It's still the economy. It's still seasonal. That doesn't change. So what had changed? I had changed. Who I was becoming due to staying inside an industry where my reason for being in it was misaligned to who I am intrinsically. That was leading me down the path to burnout. I didn't know who I was. My why became about money. But money is meant to be the result, not the driving factor. Finances, I love money. I love what money buys me, the lifestyle, the freedom, the peace, wonderful. But it's a result of what you do. So it took me years to actually realize and understand the reason for my continuous, what I call my university fees. All the money I lost, those are my university fees. Got multiple degrees, University of Life. But it took me a while to understand that I was operating outside of who I am intrinsically. And it took many years, it took over 4 years of discovery to find this out. Now, you're sitting here listening to me and going, okay, this makes sense. Where else can we go from it? Now, before I climb into more detail on it, I actually want to share a story here with you. Well, it's not me. I'm going to call on the GOAT of tennis. Anybody know who the GOAT of tennis is? The greatest of all time. Anybody know who that is? Big guess. He won this year Olympic gold. It was the only Grand Slam he had never won. The GOAT of tennis, Novak Djokovic. Right? I would like you to listen in to what Novak Djokovic has to say.
On athlete mental health, and I'm curious what's the most important thing they can do to take care of themselves this Olympic Games?
It's a great question. I think probably the number one thing is to learn how to consciously breathe. I think it sounds weird because we all know how to breathe. Obviously it's automatic, but I think consciously breathing, really learning how to master that skill, because that helps with better sleep, better recovery, more presence in the moment, because we always travel from past to future, so I think breathing always centers you, so I think that's probably one of the most important advices. And then really trying to understand emotionally who you are, what's your background, the whole story of your upbringing. It's quite complex, you know what I mean, and so it takes as much effort as the physical effort that you put in as an athlete, so training the mental muscles is equally important.
Who would have ever thought that the advice that the world #1 tennis player would give to other Olympic athletes is to learn how to breathe and know who you are? You would have thought it was diet and practice and listen to your coach and all these. There's a message in that. Now, if I'd paid him, I wouldn't have been able to get a better advertisement for what I do, because that's exactly what I speak about. So when that came out, I was like, wow, and my mind is blown. You see, from a place of being authentic, you can start to design the life that you want to live. And to break you outside of the stress cycle, outside of the blocks that you have, use the power of your breath. See, we can live 3 years without hope, 3 weeks without food, and 3 days without water. But you can only live 3 minutes without air. And yet, how often do we actually think about our breathing? I didn't used to think about my breathing. I said to you right at the beginning, you'll never guess how I first came across breath work. I mean, breathing, really? And I stumbled across this guy just when I was doing my research and my own discovery of my journey. And I stumbled across this guy and he introduced me to breath work. And I was about 50 at the time. And I thought, well, I've been breathing for 50 years. I'm fairly fit and healthy. I don't get sick. I've got to be pretty good at this, right? And he showed me very quickly that, man, was I wrong. Here's one of the first things that I learned, and I'll never forget this when I read this, that when you shut your mouth and you breathe through your nose, it acts as a natural tranquilizer for your nervous system, which automatically calms you if you're stressed or anxious. That's #1 way to reduce stress in the moment. Breathe through your nose. That I found quite fascinating. So I'm not sure about you, but that to me was a wake-up call. I thought, can it be that simple? So I stumbled across this guy. His name's Brian. And he started to teach me a whole lot of things about breath work. And one big thing that he taught me is breath work is not about treating the symptom. The symptom is stress, anxiety, anger, fear. But it gets underneath and roots out the root cause of what is creating that emotional change in you. And to demonstrate this, he shared a 60-minute deep breathing experience with me. And I'll be straight with you guys. It was the most difficult breathing I've done in my life. It was intense. But wow. You know, in life you come across those moments which are like those light bulb moments, those things that make sense. You think, that's what I'm missing. We've all had that, right? You can think of that. That moment of that breathing was mine. It was the first time that I felt this calm come over me, this peace and clarity. It was like a reset button had been switched in my mind, my body, and my soul. And from here, from this place of calm that I didn't know I was missing, I'd been living so many years in this high-strung, high-functioning state, I didn't realize what was happening until it was reduced. And from there, I slowly started to piece together what had happened to me back in the corporate world. And this is what I learned. That when we're stressed and anxious, we naturally breathe poorly. You breathe in your mouth and your chest. It's called fear, fight, flight. It's how our bodies are designed to activate. The problem is when we're breathing in this state for long periods of time, it causes ongoing health issues. Heart issues, blood pressure issues, digestive issues, just to name a few. And if you leave it unchecked for long periods of time, will ultimately lead to burnout. And according to the World Health Organization, over 25% of people who hit burnout are hospitalized with chronic medical issues. Guys, this is very serious stuff. People who really hit burnout can take 4, 5, 6 years to actually start getting back on their feet. Here's another statistic for you. It's 100% guaranteed that when you don't breathe, you die. So let's sort that out. So I've learned that there's breathing styles that can lift you, your experienced ones. There's breathing styles that calm you. There's even ones that will help you sleep better. And there's ones that help you focus and get more clarity. And from this calm space, I started to unpack and discover my intrinsic nature in combination with many coaching programs and coaches that I did over many, many months. I slowly started to get clear on what this is. And you know the first solution? What is the first thing that you do to calm you if you're stressed or anxious? Any ideas? The first thing. Put in the chats. Demonstrate to me. If there's one thing that you take away from tonight, it's this. Shut your mouth. I tell this to all my clients all the time. I'll send them a little emoji. And they know I mean it from a place of love because I care for their well-being. That's the first thing you do. You see, stress is not what's going to kill you. It's your reaction to it that will. And learning how to control your reaction is the key thing. Write this down. Stress is an emotional reaction to external circumstances. The world around you, you have no option but to live in. You can't change the chaos around you, but what you have got control of is your response to it. Now, I'm an analytical guy. I'm a structure plan guy. So I needed to try and pack this into a format where I could understand this and then share it with others. So I created a framework. Now, it's a very simple framework, and I've learned from many people, from Simon Sinek. If you've heard of him, he wrote the book, It Starts With Why. Dr. John DeMartini and his value principles. Joe Dispenza, many, many, many very well-known coaches around the world. And even Jim Rohn. Anybody here know Jim Rohn? If you heard Jim Rohn's talks before, phenomenal self-development coach, one of the best of all times. Tony Robbins learned from him. He's unfortunately passed many years ago now, but his lessons are still valid today. Success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person who you become. You see, it's an inside-out job. You can't change anybody around you, but you can change yourself, which then creates the change. So I created what I've called the self-centric cycle. And it's about putting yourself at the center of everything, of why you do what you do, how you do it, and what you do. It's a continuous cyclic interconnection with yourself at the center, the beginning, the middle, and the end of any journey. All decisions, all actions, all growth needs to be centered around who you are now and who you'd like to become. Now, I think it's very important to identify that one of the things that I've realized over many years, noting I've been doing personal development, coaching, mentoring for over 16 years now, is that many programs don't start with the basis of who you are. They start with who you think you are. And in a corporate environment, you're wearing this mask. So it's the same as a farmer planting seeds on infertile ground where he's still got the roots of last year's crop and the stones and the weeds. That's what's in your head. Now you try and add new things on top of it. You've got to break yourself down to understand who you are at your core. Then you can start to build, just like the GPS. Who here has turned on the GPS and said, I want to go here, but the GPS doesn't know where you are? You're not going to get far, are you? That's where I feel that so many personal development programs fall flat. You need to start with understanding who you are intrinsically. From here, your why is your motivation. That's what gets you up in the morning. Yet surprising few people know their real reason why. Mine, I thought, was money. It wasn't. It almost killed me. Knowing your why and connecting that to who you are makes you unstoppable. When you know who you are and you connect your why, your reason for getting up, what drives you, your truth. I would estimate 80% of people I speak to don't know, truly. But when you combine it, feelings of stress, anxiety, frustration fall away because you are operating inside your authentic self. You're designing your life. The what you do is your business or your job. That's the physical activity. How you do it is how you apply it. Everybody knows what they do and everybody knows how they do it. Few people know the detail of why you're doing it and who you are. So this is an interconnected cycle. It's a continuous cycle that as you grow, so your reasons for doing things may change because that's as you're growing. How you do things and what you do may also change based upon who you are in that moment and who you ultimately would like to become. So it's a continuous cycle of life that never, ever stops. So what does this mean? This means that if you are operating, how can I say this? Ensure that your external environment, your business or your job, is aligned to who you are by nature and why you do what you do. If you try and align who you are to the business, so you're trying to change yourself for the business, you're operating outside your truth, you will have stress, you will eventually sink. It's an inside-out job. And this is one thing that I identify and talk about in corporates, is to ensure that the staff, the employees, the teams understand their values and how they fit into the business, not the business fits into them. Because stress is an internal emotion. Take my story as an example. I've shared it with you. I was operating outside of my truth, outside of who I was, outside of my authentic nature. I was lost. You can't change who you are. You can direct and redirect why you do what you do. But you can't change who you are. That changes over time naturally. That's growth. So you can reduce your internal stress through breath work, yes. But in order to find the long-term change that you seek and that peace and that harmony and that success and that fulfillment, whatever your goal in life is, you need to connect who you are with why you're doing what you do. Then decide what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to do it. John Maxwell, another phenomenal leader, he talks about you must know yourself to grow yourself. He's talking about that self-awareness is the keystone into being an authentic person, leader in business, leader at home, leader in society, your church, your community. Here's another quick story. Ursula Buerta, Ursula came to me. She's a speaker and a coach as well. She came to me with huge amounts of stress and anxiety. She knew her business, but she was stuck and couldn't grow. Her stress was coming family orientated. She joined me for the breathwork journeys. We worked with each other for a couple of months, and very quickly she started to unpack the limiting beliefs which were in her mind. And it was these limiting beliefs that were holding her back, and was all due to trauma and issues from her childhood. So here's 5 key things, very quickly, that I'm going to share with you to take away right now and apply. Write these down. Number 1 is uncover your source of stress. When you know your stress internally, learning that stress, anxiety, and fear are only emotions, you can then learn to control these emotions. They're in fact signs. Number 2, know who you are. Discover your authentic self. This may mean some deep dive into perspective analysis, not the one taught to you by your preachers, teachers, parents, society. Who you are. Number 3, know your values and your purpose. Again, not the societal ones of honesty, trust, kindness. Those are values which are deemed by society to be reasonable for every human. You've got different ones inside of you. Know them. Ensure who you are, your values, and your purpose. Number 4, know your why. What drives you to get out of bed in the morning? I chased money for years. It almost killed me. It's not the money I wanted. It was the peace. It was the love. It was the good life. It was the balance I wanted. And it was Mark Twain who said, there's 2 most important days in your life. The day you're born and the day you find out why. There's huge value in that. Number 5, become a conscious, connected breather. If you don't believe me, believe the goat of tennis. The one thing today that you can take away is become a student of breathwork. And I've got some tools to help you with that I'm going to gift you as well. Now, when you combine all of this, and I combine all of this into my program, it becomes magical. It's what I call transpirational. It's a word I made up. Don't look it up. It's mine. I own it. I'm going to trademark that word. And it's my mission that I've come to share this with other leaders and teams to inspire growth and hope and fulfillment in a very chaotic world so that you can all thrive in 25. And that's what it's called, living your life by design. So here's my QR code. In the chat box there, you had I'll put it in again. You've got here we go. You've got my calendar. If you don't want to do a QR code, click that link in the chat box there. Now, the free value I'm going to share with you guys for playing full out and being so amazing with me is worth 3,600 Rand. This is going to give you a 60-minute session with me. We're going to do a stress check. We're going to do a deep dive into some of the major issues that you're running with in your life. Give you some tools and strategies immediately. Start painting a roadmap of what it would look like. And also then, inviting you to join me for a complimentary breathwork journey so that you can experience what I experienced when Brian first introduced me to this. That's worth 3,600 Rand. However, you need to book that call within the next hour. I'm only throwing in this gift for you, this extra, in the next hour. Okay? Also remember, I can only take 15 calls a week. Just don't have the capacity for more than that, because also my program doesn't take can't handle too many people as well. And I've still got another 2 of these this month and another 2 in January as well. So there's the link. I'm going to gift you my book. I'll be sending it out via email tomorrow. You can download it from Burnout to All Out in 60 seconds. This is where you're going to get a lot of information. These breath hacks and more about breathing. This is all about how you can become a conscious, connected breather. You guys are going to get that as well for being awesome people and playing All Out. I'm going to email that out to you all tomorrow. So before I look at what it looks like to work with me, very quick few minutes. Are there any questions? Don't think anything's come up in the chat. Has anybody got a question on something that I've spoken about? All happiness, all alive and thinking, wow, there is a choice. There is something I can do to break out of this cycle of chaos. All right. Book your appointment. Bring your questions there as well. You're welcome to. So what does it look like working together? We've covered a lot here tonight. In fact, more in this 50 minutes, 45 minutes that I've been talking with you than you actually understand. There's a lot that I've unpacked with you. Self-awareness, authenticity, what it means to know who you are, living your life aligned to your purpose. You've got a great basic foundation, but the reality is, if you want true transformation, it's continuation of this on the journey to really make a difference. One thing is there's no magic pill, guys. There isn't. I've tried it. I've looked for it. I was looking for the get-rich-quick scheme as well. They also didn't work. It's applying things consistently, having somebody at your back, having an accountability partner as well. So depending on what your needs are, I've got a 5-week program and a full 6-month program. I shared with you right at the beginning the BREATHE acronym for the 6-month program. And this is where I've created the Life Mastery Journey for ambitious leaders. It's a step-by-step journey that I've with you for the entire period. So if you want to imagine waking up with more clarity, more purpose, and leading a more confident and authentic life, then we need to connect. If you've already felt that there's something valuable in this information, again, let's connect so that you can turn this cost of your stress into an asset with value. But there's no quick fix. This is not just a pill. This is a transpirational journey. There's that word again. All right. So let's have a look. This is what it looks like to work with me. I'm going to share this with you. I'll just change my screen. There we go. You should be able to see that fully. It's a 6-month program, fully immersive. You can either do private or group. If it's group, it's capped at 20 people due to the amount of intensity. There's weekly Zoom sessions of 60 to 90 minutes. This is your time invested in self. There's stress release journeys, so the breathwork journeys I've spoken to you about form through the entire period as often as you want. I run them weekly, and I find that the clients going through the 6-month program, depending on what it is that you want, clarity or peace or something comes up, through our work together, you take that to the breathwork journey. It's powerful, powerful. That's the magic. Support is uncapped and ongoing. Outside of our sessions, I'm available on WhatsApp during normal working hours. You need to jump on a call to uncover something. I really believe that just meeting once a week is not enough. There's things that happen on the outside of it, life. So we cover that. I'm available all the time. And each month we also have private one-on-one sessions because there's a certain amount of things which can't be discussed in group. So there's a huge direct connection as well. Plus, you become part of my Pathfinders Mastermind community, so that we can stay connected. This is a online group of like-minded people where you receive a whole lot more value as well. Now, this is what it looks like. The total value of everything here, if you're working in group, is 45,600. If you want to do private, it's 129K. But what is your investment? You see, I'm going to change this quickly. There's 3 types of investment. This is not a cost. If anybody says to me, Tim, what does it cost to work with you? I say your cost is something that you already have incurred and will continue to incur unless you do something about it. We all understand that now, right? You're experiencing the cost. This is an investment. You're turning that expense, that cost, into an investment. Now, there's 3 criteria in investment that you need. Noting that I don't work with everybody. I had a chat with a beautiful lady earlier on. She did not qualify. The first investment is your time. You need to be ready and willing to commit in your time for self. It's time to put yourself at first ahead of everybody else. Put the oxygen mask on first. The second is emotions. You need to be ready and willing to attack those emotions, those fears, those doubts, those unknowns, uncertainties that you've got hiding in there that's blocking you. You need to be ready to confront them. But here's the key thing. You don't do it alone. I'm here with you in the journey. The third one is your financial investment. Never let finances be the reason we do not work together. The only one I have any remote control over is, number 3, the financial side. The other is your place. You put that in. I commit my time. You need to commit your time. I hope that makes sense. So what does it look like? So the rates for 2025 for group from 45K, you're getting it for 21K once off, or you can pay monthly 3.9. And if you want private, it goes from 129K down to 72,600, or if you want to pay monthly, 13,900. But I've got a special for you guys. Of course I do. Would you expect anything else? All right. You can secure this year's rates for the entire 6 months next year. To secure that, you can either pay a once-off, 18, or a deposit of 1 month, which is 3,3 now, and that then secures the monthly five further monthly payments through 2025 at the 2024 rates. So you can do a great saving. And if you want to do privately, then it's 66K or 12,600. Private is excellent for people who need more flexibility of time, would rather do a lot of deep dive themselves as opposed to doing a group, whereas group has got a great interaction and interconnection with other people who are on the journey with you. And it can become a great camaraderie as well in group. So to lock it in, you can secure with a deposit now and then pay the rest off over installments. So then you can save as a private over 7,000, nearly 8,000 Rand, and group you can save over 3,600 Rand. And you're getting that extra value I'm throwing in for you as well. So we don't have to begin next year. We can actually start some of this right now, because it's that foothold. It's getting ahead now that'll give you that boost next year. It's what you do today, this week, this month, that is going to make the difference. You start in January, great. But why not start now? Start with some stress release, getting out of your head and into your heart now so that you can enjoy your December. How does that sound? Right. So Mark Twain spoke about the 2 most important days, but what if the third one was the day you connected with me? And you've seen that everything that I do starts with the breath of life. For when you control your breath, you're controlling your life. When you control your life, you control your destiny. So I'm going to leave you with one last question. You may want to write this one down. In a world of infinite possibilities, what do I get to do today to design the life I want to live? Those words are very specific. In a world of infinite possibility, opens up the creativity. Unlimited. What do I get to do? It's permission, not a want to, need to. Those are negative energy. You're going to block. What do I get to do today to design the life I want to live? You're designing it because you are in control. You're no longer leaving it to control of others or the stress state that you live in. See what comes up. It's a beautiful question to ask. Thank you for the 2 people who've booked your spaces, by the way. I know you didn't put there, but my phone's vibrated twice since I brought that the QR code up just now. So fantastic. Yay, I can't wait to connect with you. It'll be brilliant. I'd love to hear your story. You've heard a little bit of mine tonight. Please do stay connected. Even if you're not ready to connect on a physical call, find me on LinkedIn. You've got my WhatsApp details. Connect with me. Let's have a chat. I'm more than willing to be here to serve you guys, to find out how I can help you. I would like to be the person to you that I needed in 2018 when I was going through that chaotic time of life and nearly lost everything repeatedly. Oh, another booking. Yay! Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I truly hope that you found value from this, and I wish you all the best. Look forward to connecting you one-to-one. Otherwise, you've got me on WhatsApp. Reach out to me. I'm happy to share.